Hello, this is Jackiefish back with my running installment of 2v2 battles with Mr. Hooma, the man from Germany. One strategy we've picked up in 2v2s, especially on big open maps like foothills, which has a lot of room for cavalry maneuvering, is one of us, usually me because I have a ton of cavalry veterans, brings all the cavalry and maybe a couple units of naginatas or something to reinforce, the main army. The other one brings all infantry and maybe one or two units of cavalry to make sure they don't get flanked if the cavalry guy is tied up. This can lead to horrific losses if your opponent spams naginatas and just sort of rushes you, but can also be really efficient because the infantry player is free to focus on setting up an effective line, coordinating an effective assault on a hill, skirmishing well, which is something I cannot do if I'm trying to micromanage a lot of cavalry and infantry guys. And the other guy is free to ideally use his cavalry to the best of his ability and really disrupt your opponent's plans. So that's what we were doing. These guys did sort of a similar thing. You can see on the dark red, this guy brought pretty much entirely bows. That's the first line, and some guys to prevent flanking and a couple cavalry. And the other guy seems to have spammed swords and just lots and lots of swords, which is cool because cavalry love fighting swords. Cavalry would love to fight swords every day, and archers. So we were feeling pretty good about this, despite the fact that they clearly had more infantry than we did. I mean, both armies were core infantry, and we only have one infantry army at all. We decide to go for the hill while I move my cavalry around. You can see Hooma's massive amount of guys going, and my cavalry is moving over there with my general, who's a melee general, who can support the smaller force and retreat if needed, and make sure he doesn't get killed. They're sort of his bodyguards for his bodyguard. When my other five are coming over here to see what these guys are doing, they decide to go take their hill, which leaves us in the interesting spot of both of us would be on a hill sort of staring at each other. And considering we have all cavalry, it's not necessarily our responsibility to attack them, but it definitely seems like we're playing with more of an aggressive rushing build. Anyways, decide to maneuver our cavalry, get a couple in the trees, get my general over here, maybe to bait and draw out whatever he has hiding, because I didn't think that this was his entire army. I've got the 3 units of yard cavalry and 2 great guard. The 2 great guard are going to have to do their own thing because I want to make sure that they're sort of the reserve guys, because it's really, really nice not to have to sort of pray that your yard cavalry aren't breaking at the end of the fight. You're charging in with fresh great guards, and that really turns the tide of any battle they charge into. Anyways, they are perfectly content to play defense because they've got so many bows. They've got bows on the ridge, bows facing the hill, Yari guys in spear wall here, his cavalry just waiting for me to charge in and do something. And Hooma's light cavalry, yeah, well, let's just forget about them. They weren't really a factor. In the meantime, I'm charging around with my cavalry, and lo and behold, he didn't notice that my yard cavalry had gotten in and slammed into the back of some of his archers. And now this is a great time to send more dudes in and charge. I wasn't afraid of trying to get in and flank his dudes because of how few spears they had. Anyways, right when his guys are distracted trying to deal with my cavalry, blank, his general gets hit right there, and that's the end of it. I send my other guy back here. I've got my other cavalry unit coming in here, tying up their cavalry, and going after this guy's bodyguard too. I didn't have enough guys to do it, so I send my general up, my great guard up, and my other cavalry. As you can see, real quick pause. The main feature of why I suicide charged these guys, because that is suicide, even if they're archers and swords, is the fact that it gave Hooma time to approach without it being fired upon, and to set up his archers and fire into this mob. And without his archers in formation behind a Yari wall that's designed to keep them all secure, Hooma's archers can fire freely without being hit by the dudes on the hill, and can inflict a bunch of casualties to even sort of the odds of the archery battle. And as you can see, that's exactly what's going on. Then their general gets killed, which is just all kinds of good news for me, and even though my Yari cavalry and stuff are breaking, it's really sort of hard to tell what's going on here, just because I basically was circling around them like a bunch of piranhas the entire time, hitting their cavalry, hitting their archers, hitting their swordsmen when they stopped moving their archers around. And I mean, when they have an army that's entirely melee and archers like this, you're free to maneuver your cavalry, and that's not good when I have an all-cavalry army and they're all super veterans. Eventually, he just has to commit all his guys to a giant blob. The first guy's army is gone. All the archers have been either killed or have are running like pansies off the field. My cavalry is engaging his swords, who's starting to go because his general's surrounded. They're being flanked. The fire arrows Hooma shot were being good. Hooma's forming up on the bottom of the hill, planning to charge up an assault, and by the time he realized what was going on, we were at TeamSpeak at the time, yeah, their entire army had been wiped out, even though it was all infantry. Which just goes to show you that the one way to beat a big army with cavalry, you know, if spears or no spears, is to make sure that you don't kill them all, because cavalry are not going to kill them all. I'm outnumbered probably 5 to 1 in this whole engagement on the top of the hill. It's just hit a couple key positions to make them overreact. Like, he pulled both of his Yari Ashigaru and his swords in the front to go back and defend the one unit of Yari cavalry that, if you remember, hit his archers way back in the beginning of the battle. Totally overreacted, which left his general totally exposed, because his general had previously been behind a nice Yari wall, and his general gets killed. And then after his general gets killed, he's like, oh crap, he tries to like go after the cavalry who have gone off to kill his general, and the other guy's side gets hit, the other guy's cavalry gets hit, everything just falls apart, and eventually, like you see, they all break and run. So sort of a running theme in how I like to do these battles is running around their army. I mean, good players won't fall for this. They'll sort of set up a wall, but if you've got a rush build like this, hit them quickly before they have time to really coalesce. If they don't have any spears, don't be afraid to charge in and try and create opportunities by drawing people off and luring them. A really nice thing to do is hit their unit when you're tied up in battle, then, like, you know, when you're running away, do something else crazy over here, like charge in with 3 units. All those units that were fighting him will hopefully be running over here, because, you know, now his attention's like, oh shit, my general's being attacked from behind or whatever. Anyways, just try and create, if they don't show any weaknesses, like if they're forming up on a hill and it looks like they're just going to sit there and, you know, wait, don't be afraid to go balls to the walls and charge in. I mean, we've lost a couple battles like this, and Hooma's been, you know, sort of face-palming after my entire army gets wiped out, but we've won a lot more battles. So, anyways, that's that.